into like a little tiny remote road with no signal. So anyways, I was talking about the living in a total sense of alignment, but then when the fear sets in, it's like we keep on sabotaging ourselves. We take one step forward, one step backwards, or even two steps backwards, and we lower our vibration. And instead of pulling things that we desire in our life, we pull whatever it is that is a vibrational match to the thoughts and feelings we're experiencing as us, right? So whenever you experience lack of money or lack of health or lack of relationship, that's exactly what you keep on pulling in. And then you go into this wonderful, beautiful meditation and you feel whole and you feel complete. And then you open up your eyes and maybe you receive an email from the client that you've been trying to rather, get in touch with. Or maybe you receive an email or a phone call from your partner saying how much they love you. And you're like, oh my God, my love is so amazing. But then a day or two later, things go slow for you, and then you get into the state of fear again, like, am I going to make it? Is this going to work out? And then you sabotage your progress. And then it's like, as I said, one step back, one step forward, two step back. And I think we've all done that. So that's what brings me into today's really conversation about fear and how to tap into it and turn it into courage. And in order for me to actually explain, I want to go back and talk a little bit of a spleen center. So spleen is the oldest, the most, the oldest part really of the energy centers. And what I mean by energy centers is in human design, there are 9 energy centers. The energy centers, they correlate to the Hindu system of chakras, except there are 7 chakras, but there are 9 centers. And the reason there's 9 is because of how humans evolved over the last few hundred years, but that's a different conversation. Now, the centers, they're just the place of energy, so how, the energy runs through our bodies. And one of these energy centers is the spleen area. And spleen, that's where all the fears live. That's the instincts. That's that run and flight mode. That's when you've got to run from the bear. It's a fear of survival. And we all sometimes need it because we need to know when something is truly life-threatening. But what happens is that we often interpret the fear, that life-threatening fear, in our everyday life. So we can become paralyzed on writing a post or being visible or sending a proposal to the client or making a phone call to our partner or to maybe a person you like. And that fear is holding us back. Now, when I look at that spleen center in the energy blueprint, so human design provides you with your energetic blueprint, and it's individual. Every single person is going to have their individual, unique energetic blueprints. When we look at the spleen center, you can see whether it is defined or undefined. And what that means is, if the spleen center is defined, it means you have a consistent energy running. It's a true expression of who you are. And perhaps you can even control, or not even control, but you're more aware of the spheres because it's your natural strength. Now, for majority of us, the spleen center is not going to be defined. So that means it has no consistent energy. And what that means is when it has no consistent energy, it will take the fears of others or insecurities, it will absorb them and it will amplify them. So to give you an example, if you are really working hard on making your business work and you have no doubt in the future one day you'll have the soul clients, you will make an impact in the world that you were meant to make, you're going to have all of the abundance that you desire. But for now, you're struggling for money, right? And it takes you a lot of work to really overcome that mental challenge and the pressure from family and friends around you. But you're working through it and you're feeling really, really good. You're holding your vision. And then let's say your mom comes around or your partner and they'll say, when do you think you're going to bring that money in? When do you think it's going to happen? I can't see any difference, in the last 3, 4, 5 months you've been working in the business. And they project their fears onto you, and all of a sudden you start doubting yourself, and that's when the fear kicks in. So when you have an open, undefined spleen center, so when there is no consistent energy going into it, there are few common fears that live in that spleen center. And there are 7 of them, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but the most common ones that I found is the fear of inadequacy. So fear that we just do not know enough, fear that we can make a mistake. And that's the low expression. of that center, right? So every single center, so centers like a chakra, will have a low frequency expression and a high frequency expression. So when you're when you're in a spleen center as a low form of expression, that will be a fear of being inadequate, not knowing, not thinking that you don't know what you need to know. Now, the high expression of the spleen center would be just trusting the source, trusting yourself that you know what you need to know. The other center, or the other low frequency fear, is fear of the past. So holding on to the patterns of the past, thinking, right, if that didn't work, in the last 6 months, I have only brought 2 clients. So therefore it means that in this month, I'm also going to bring 2 clients. But who says that? And that's the important thing to ask. Who says that? Because tomorrow you can write a post that will go completely viral and you'll have hundreds of clients reaching out. It's possible. It's all possible. But when we are running in a low expression, we are attached to that fear of the past, and we project everything we had in the past and we're bringing it into the future, which hasn't even happened, but we pull all of this fear into the future. And another fear also can happen is the fear of the future. Just, sometimes we get so paralyzed. What happens if I do this and nobody will respond to a post? Or how would my potential boyfriend or girlfriend react if I tell them I love them? And what happens if they don't love me? And what will they say to me in return? And so that also can keep us stuck. And there's other fears. There's fear of failure. Obviously, there's also fear there's even fear of really not belonging. So there are different fears, and there's 7 core fears that live in a center. And what is important to understand is that the spleen center, it's an instinct. It's your fight and flight. It's in and now. So sometimes we hold on to these fears for so long. Some people hold on to them for years. But once you feel the fear and you do it anyway, the fear dissipates. It literally just disappears. It is no longer there. So it's important to identify your fears and whether they come from spleen or whether they come from other charts, from other parts in your charts. Because if it's the fear that's spleening, that survival fear, that way we associate posting a post on a social media exactly the same as running away from the bear, which is indeed life-threatening, those kind of fears, we need to push through them and just do them anyway. Now, when we look at your energetic blueprints, we can also see whether the fears do not come from a spleen. Maybe they're from my head, or also from my heart, feeling that you're not good enough. And then there's a more deeper, more work really required around different energy centers. So there will be more deconditioning work, more understanding how to tap into this fear, identify it and reframe it, because in truth, nothing has a meaning apart from the meaning you give it. So in order to really reframe the fear, you need to give that emotion a very different meanings. And by looking through the energy blueprints, you can identify exactly where your fears live, how you can start tapping into them, and how you can transform them into courage. I mean, how incredible I think it would be if we were just completely fear-free, right? If we could just become the true, authentic selves we are born here to be, if we could make an impact, if we could say and express our unique gifts, our unique message with the world without fear of holding us back, or fear of what will happen in the future, or fear of failure, or any of this nonsense that we feed ourselves constantly, pretty much all the time. So if you want to break free from your fears, if you want to understand your energy blueprint, where your fears lives, what's keeping you back, how to start giving them a different meaning, how to start tapping into them and turning into your courage, so that you can fully step into your full power and share your beautiful gifts with the world, make difference to your life, to the life of your loved ones, the life of your clients, and just generate a life that you've always dreamed about. I would love to help you. And I've created a workshop called tapping into fear and turning into courage by design, because it's very specific to every single person, to every single design, depending on your energy blueprints. We get to go through your energetic blueprints, identify where your fear is, where your strengths are, where your vulnerable points are, how you are wired to make decisions, how you absorb the energy from the world, because it's very important to understand which part of you are more prone to conditioning and imprinting from the environments, and then turning them into courage. So this workshop is going to start middle of August, and I'm taking 5 people, so I've got 4 spots left. And if you guys want to join me, just send me a message and I will send you the link to the workshop. So any questions, let me know, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.